Our next question, Jim, was sent in on Twitter using the hashtag CornyDriveThru from Super Ninja Jedi Boy. So who do you think the wrestler of the decade is? Based on mic and in-ring skills, I'd say Chris Jericho. How about past decades? Well, let's not go through all the past decades.
Right, yeah.
Jim, do you have a pick for wrestler of the decade?
Well, from 2010 through 2019.
Correct.
God damn. Well, I mean, honestly, hasn't Chris mostly been part-time through all of that decade? Would there not be someone that's, or, I mean, if you're going to go for a part-time guy who's made the most money to do the least, Brock Lesnar, who consistently has had the best matches through that period of time?
Okada.
I mean, let's stick with this country. Maybe I'd have a chance of seeing him.
If it's worldwide, I'd go with Okada. I think he's hands down been the best guy for the last decade.
Okay, but who in the United States and Canada has been the best guy in the ring over the last decade?
Ooh.
You
know, there are some people that...
And I haven't watched that closely, everything, but, you know, there's always the old standbys. But, and then for the first part of that time, how long was Bryan Danielson off?
I forget how many years it was now. It was at least 2 years. Was it 3 years?
I don't know. Was it, you know, Seth Rollins because he's high profile? I don't know. What were you going to say?
No, there's going to be someone out there who says Kenny Omega, but in terms of, I mean, like John Cena even became part-time eventually as the decade went. I mean, when you look at like the 80s,
yeah,
most people will say Ric Flair. And if you don't say Ric Flair, you may say Hulk Hogan just based on how big he was, and he was a phenomenon. But those are guys who were around for the entire decade.
Well, yeah, and also that would be who's the biggest draw, not who's the best wrestler.
Well, with Flair, it could be best wrestler.
It could be best wrestler. Yeah, but with Hogan, it would have to be biggest draw.
But when you look at the 1980s with Flair, you're looking at every single year. Flair had great matches, so he was around for the whole decade. I'm trying to think who's been around every single year of this decade that would have been in that position that you could say was the best wrestler. I don't know. That's a tough question, actually.
We ought to go back and look and see who has managed to just wrestle every year for the last 10 years without getting hurt and being off for extended periods of time, because that doesn't really happen a lot these days, does it, with anybody?
Not too much, no.
Imagine how that, I wonder why that happens like that when the style has changed from what it was to what it is now.